and welcome. My name is Kia and I'm coming to you from Sweden in a small village outside of Gothenburg. This is my channel here on YouTube where I share with you my crafty life, and I'm coming to you from my greenhouse as always. I so enjoy spending my days and my time here in the greenhouse. I have totally rearranged it this year. I have had a table here with four big chairs, but now I threw out that table and I have benches and I have small tables, and yeah, rearranged it, and I'm so happy here. I think it turned out so well. It gave a totally new feeling out here. And that has inspired me to build out the greenhouse with not the roof and not the walls, just the things that is the basic in the house. And it turned out so nice, and I will show you later in a picture, because I used white fabric, a waterproof white fabric as a roof, so it turned out really nice. So yes, when you start somewhere and you end up in another place because you get inspired by the first thing. So that's that's how I have it here. But okay, I am also on Instagram and on Ravelry as kiaspod_podcast, and I am on my website kiaspod.se, where I have a little shop with Swedish yarn from Gotland wool spinnery, no, not Gotland wool spinnery, Stenkyrka wool spinnery. Gotland wool spinnery is another spinnery on Gotland. There is 2 spinneries on a small island. That's almost the same as we have here in at the mainland of Sweden. No, but it's a lot in a small island. But they have beautiful wool and fibers, so they have 2 spinneries. Okay, and there is also spindles, Turkish spindles, and I have some other small bits and pieces there, so you can go and have a look if you want to. I will link under this video to the web shop and also to my Ravelry page and so on. On my website I will put up this video with links to the things I talk about today, so you can go and have a look. It has been a while and I have been busy in the garden and in my life, just working and enjoying this pre-summer weather. And it just occurred to me the other night, I was sitting on the porch, and it's only two weeks and then it turns again, goes darker. So we are almost at the peak now when the light is the longest here in Sweden, and I guess for you as well. So we have to enjoy the weather and take as much pleasure of this light and the summertime. So for many of you, I know the summer has barely begun, and it's the same here actually, but it's really depressing to think about that. In 2 weeks it starts to get darker again. So let's focus on the light, shall we? But yes, what have I been doing since the last time? I have realized that on Instagram and on Ravelry and also on other podcasts, I have been noticing that there is coming back this granny square cardigans and sweaters and all the things. And I saw that it's a Sarah, a podcast from Holland. She is crocheting some kind of cardigan, I think, it's a free pattern by Amy Christoffers. So if you're interested, go and check out It's a Sarah, a podcast, really nice. And Silje from Hanging On By a Thread, a Norwegian podcast, she also, and I think she made her pattern up by herself, but she also made a crocheted sort of cardigan. And I remembered that a couple of years ago, I think perhaps 6 years ago, I also made something like that, and I started to look around, in all the boxes of clothes, and I found it, and it is made by a variegated wool yarn. So you crochet the squares and then you sew them together, and you pick up the edges and you knit on large needles. You can see it's very see-through here, and it's a square like this with the tassels on it. Really nice. So it's four squares wide and 5 squares up. So I decided that I think I want to take it out now, and when I sit like this it almost looks like it has small sleeves, but it's really just a big rectangular with an opening for the neckline here, and with some tassels at the edge. So really nice, and I actually found the pattern because it was one of the festivals I went to in 2016 in Borås, and the first thing when I walked in the doors, this poncho style hanged up. The first thing I saw when I walked in, and I just felt that, oh, it's crazy to buy something the first thing you see, because you know how it will end. You will just keep on buying. But I just loved it, and since I just saw it the first thing, I bought a kit. So I just bought the kit, and I think it came in some other color as well, but this one was knitted up and I just loved it. So I'm not sure there is a pattern actually to buy, because this is from a yarn store, and I think it looks like her own pattern. Perhaps she has came up with this idea and sold the kit for the poncho. But yes, since I have noticed it has become quite popular again to use the crocheted granny squares and make garments of them, I thought I would bring out my old poncho, t-shirt, vest, whatever it is, and start to use it again. And the yarn was fine wool, or what was it? Fame Trend Fine Wool is the name of the yarn, and it is a variegated, so you can see you just crochet and the yarn changes in colors as it comes, and then I just sew them together, I guess, and picked up and knitted with really large needles here, the edges. Really simple. Should be nice with the handspun yarn perhaps to make something similar. Really nice. So that's what I'm wearing today. And what have I been doing since I saw you the last time? It has been, I don't think I have had a pause like this before. I always produce podcasts like 10-14 days in between, but I don't know, I think it's the weather, it's the summer, and I am feeling a lot for gardening this year, so I think that's why I haven't been crafting that much. So, but as you can see, I have finished my bladtröja from the book by Anna Bauer, Hönsestrick Anna Bauer, and yeah, I told you the last podcast, and I think since I started this sweater that I have been insecure about the fit of this garment, but it actually turned out okay. It's not perfect. It is it's good. It's a good fit. It's not a perfect fit, because if it would have been raglan increases here instead of no increasing or decreasing, this is just the same amount of stitches. You do all the increasing here, and then it's the same amount of stitches down to here. So if I should have done this one again, I would have taken away 1 or 2 of these leaves, and I would have added increases here for the raglan instead, so I don't get a lot of fabric up here and the bulkiness here. But it's okay, it's a thin fabric, and I have some things to fill up. I have some kind of bust here, so it fills up quite well. in this sweater. It's hanging here because it's not quite dry yet. I actually wetted it down last night and I hanged it up to dry, but it's not quite dry yet. But yeah, I'm really happy with it, and the yarn is my own handspun. It's two different braids that I have spun totally separated from each other, with not the intention of using in the same project. But when I was up looking for, if you have been here before, you have followed the story of me wanting to knit from my handspun yarn and loving all the yarns. And this was a project that I found that I was really, I could see the potential here to use the handspun and to make it, shine. And you can see that it's so beautiful, so beautiful. And what I did here was, there is one yellow and one orange on each row here, and also on the second row. So 2 rows are with one yellow, one orange, and the next row is orange yellow. So it goes on like that. And then there is four rows in between, and then that repeat. And I have just let the shiftings for the yarn decide. So somewhere here I have yellow with yellow, but I decided that I can't start to mess with this, because then I would go crazy with all the detailing of how the yarn should blend. And I think it has turned out really nice by itself without me mixing with the colors. So really happy with it. And I also did, I don't want to take it down now because it hangs so well there, but there is a embroidered flower in the neckline, and I also did short rows in the back there, so it raises up a little bit at the back side. Knitted on 3mm needles. And when I tried it on this morning, I actually realized that the sleeves are a little bit long, and that was really not so funny. Because yesterday when I tried it on before blocking, I realized it's a little bit short in the sleeves, so I ripped out the ribbings and I added 1.5 centimeters and then made the ribbings again. And I realize now that it would have been perfect without me ripping back and adding and knitting again. So, but I'm not sure. We shall see. If it bothers me, I will take it back and take away that what I added yesterday. So we shall see. But sometimes I feel when it's totally dry, it has sort of gotten back to the shape it was before. When it's still a little bit wet, it's still a little bit stretchy, so you can stretch out things. But if it gets 100% dry, perhaps it will shrink back a little bit to what it was yesterday. Let's hope that 1 centimeter will go back again. I'm trying not to stretch it. I'm trying to keep it a little bit loose here, so it won't stretch out the sleeves anymore. Yeah, but you can see that I have talked about before that we need one circular thing for the yoke, and you can see that I have a half circular here, but it's a little bit bubbly. But I will fill it up when I'm wearing it. So hopefully I can show you now that me and my husband have been taking pictures of it, so you can see how it looks on, and I can add those pictures in here for you. So let's hope we did that, and here they are. yeah, I told you before that I would rip it out if I wasn't happy with it, because the yarn is so special and I really want to have a sweater that I can feel really happy and proud of. And I think that ripping this handspun yarn back will destroy it, so I think I will leave it like it is. It's not 100% perfect, but it's like 93% perfect, so I won't mix with it. I did not finish all the yarn, so I still have a lot of this beautiful handspun yarn left, so we shall see what I will make with that. Something else that I have been doing here is a lot of spinning, of course. I have been spinning, I think the first thing that I had on my e-spinner when I talked to you the last time was this, and it looks it could have been the same yarn actually, but this one is 100% merino, and I also spun this super thin. So in the beginning, when you start to spin, you have problems to spin thin. But when you have spun a while and you have got the hang of spinning thin, it's really hard actually to not spin thin. So this is 260 grams and it was 820 meters. So it's fingering. And it feels really thin, and I'm not sure what to do with this 800 meters. Yeah, we shall see. It's no rush, I don't have to decide anything yet, but hand dyed by Vinterverkstad, a Swedish yarn company here. She also dyes wool and spins yarn, and she dyed up this merino, and I was visiting her store while back and I bought some fibers there. So that is all spun up now and done. I was also visiting my friend Emma, and she also dyes up a lot of different braids and different kinds of fibers. And I saw a exciting blend when I was visiting her. First of all, I loved the color of this. It's like lime green grass. It melts in beautifully in nature now. And this was Ramy Whitehead Woodland. White-faced woodland is a sheep breed. And lama and also viscose in this. So it's half plant fibers and half animal fibers in this one, and you can feel it's a lot. It's drapey. It's a little bit heavy from the plant fibers. So it would be a lovely shawl with this yarn. Really nice. And how much did this end up to be? I think it was 340 meters for 200 grams. So it's not so thin, but it's not thick yarn either. It's quite heavy fiber. So I think that also is affecting that it didn't turn out so many meters for the grams that I had. But I think a lovely shawl in this one would be beautiful. So that is fibers that I have been spinning. And I also did a little mix because I was on a knitting cafe, and when we came out from the knitting cafe they had a lot of Angora bunnies, and I asked if she had fibers to sell, and she did. So I bought from her both grey and beige fibers. And when I got home, I dug out my fiber stash and I found grey Corriedale that I had a lot of. And I also brought out my drum carder, and I mixed the Angora with the Corriedale and blended it together, and I spun up this beautiful yarn. And yeah, really happy with this yarn. It was good that I blended it. I did it like a sandwich. First the Corriedale, then the Angora, then the Corriedale. So I packed in the Angora and then I did the drum carding, and it was quite a lot, you understand. It came out like this. But if you have the Angora at the top, it will just fly away because it's so light and also a little bit static. So I had to pack it in the Corriedale and drum card it well. And then when I was spinning it, I also had to make sure I got it blended together well. So this is a really soft and nice Angora yarn, and I'm not sure what to make with this one, but it was, that Corriedale has been in my stash for so long, and it was nice that I got this Angora fiber that inspired me to take it out and to do something with it. And it's easier for me to grab a yarn and start to knit than it is to grab a fiber and do all the spinning. So I'm happy to have this in my handspun fiber stash now. So that's also something that I have been spinning. How can I start this one? I was cleaning out the porch because I wanted to make it nice for spring, summer. And I found a bag of fibers, and I had no idea what was that. I remember buying from a Swedish website, and when I got that fiber, I just got disappointed because it was not washed. It was all dirty fibers. So I just let that bag of fibers stay on the porch. But now when I was cleaning, I thought that, what's this? Why did I just keep it like this? And it was not marked with anything, so I had no idea what it was. And I searched in my messenger history. So I found a woman that I was having a conversation with. And we were talking about how much should I pay, and she should ship it here, and I searched, but nowhere did she say what kind of fiber I was buying from her. So I took a chance and I wrote to her in that conversation thread again, and I said, excuse me, I know it's been a lot of time since I bought the fiber, but can you please remember what kind of fiber did I buy? I had no idea, but it was a Swedish breed, and it's Dalapälsfår it's called. And I thanked her so much, and and she also sent a little film of her sheeps, and she had recently got lambs. So it was a film clip when the lambs was jumping around on the sheeps on their backs. So I will include that little film here before I show you the fiber. I want to show you the breed, the sheep, how it looks. That was so kind of her to send that little film, and I got so inspired. So I went home and I took out the fibers and I washed it and dried it, and also did it the same day as I did the Angora drum carding. I also did this drum carding. So I have now got one full plastic bag here of these drum carded fibers, and I'm so looking for it's so soft, and I'm so looking forward to to start spinning it, because it feels really, it's a lot of lanolin is still in it, and it feels really nice. And I had to sort out a little bit of it, because it was, some part of it was a little bit dirty, and some part of it was really nice long locks, and I separated those long locks, and I have been combing them. But I haven't, I didn't bring the combed fiber here, but 100 grams it ended up with that I will be combing. So it will be really, really nice with the long locks, and try to spin them. And I think the 100 grams of the long combed fiber I will be doing on the spindle, but these carded bats, they will go to the spinning wheel. It will be easier for me. So that is also something exciting that I have been doing with all the fibers and spinning, and yeah, it's really, really nice. And I have bought the combs for combing fiber, and this is new to me, so I'm learning how to comb fibers. And I have also bought hand carders to hand card my fibers. So this is also something new to me that I am starting to learn. And it's so interesting the more you learn about a craft, the more you realize that you still have to learn. So now I'm not disappointed with my drum carder, but I want to get my hands into the fiber more. And now it starts to rain, so I hope it won't affect the quality of the sound here. That's the negative thing about sitting here. When the rain comes, it gets noisy, but we will try. So I have also been on other events, and I have been buying some fibers. We had the spin and knit meetup, me and my friend, and we had a woman she's from Denmark, but she lives in the south of Sweden, Skovmosse. Her store is called, or her company. And the first thing that I saw that she had was this beautiful, it's a braid, and it's a gradient, so it goes from this bluish lilac almost, to this burgundy, to this grassy green. And this green they go so well together, this beautiful green with this braid. So perhaps these will make something beautiful together. And it was it's blue-faced Leicester and tencel in this, so it's also a plant fiber mixed with the animal fiber. So this is exciting fiber to spin really soon, I hope. She also had a lovely burgundy, or Bordeaux she calls it, a merino. So I also bought this one, and it's so soft. So I'm really looking forward to get my hands to this as well. And 300 grams of merino and bamboo. It's a white one, and I think I was thinking that this could be a good match for something, perhaps. So that was things that I bought from her when she was visiting the Spin and Knit group. So I'm looking forward to start to spin again. It has been a little break here because I have been working a lot, both in the garden and at my work. But I have my holiday coming up really soon, and I think I will be spinning a lot on my holiday. The fiber from my fiber club with my friend Emma, she is hosting a fiber club inspired by the ocean, the sea. And I have had 2 of the fibers coming, and I have got the June, the last fiber now. And it's this dark green with this glittery turquoise to add to the spinning here. And the inspiration for this color is mareld, we call it in Sweden. It's almost like, the northern light. It's the same but in the ocean. Mareld, it's in Swedish. I'm not sure if you have it or if you have a word, but it looks like this in the ocean. So that's the inspiration for that fiber, and it's all kinds of different greens, and this will be the glittering in it. So I'm looking forward to this as well, and it's Jacob fiber this time to try, so that's nice. I have been spinning Jacob before, so I know it's a nice fiber. It's a rustic one, but I like it. I'm not sure about the sound now, but I will continue. And I have been knitting a little bit also on a shawl that I started. And this is my Ramson shawl by Linnea Ornstein. And I am knitting it from my handspun yarn, and it's inspired by the Kingfisher. And yeah, I did knit a lot on it, and when I got to the end of the pattern, I was reading the pattern and I followed it directly. And as I got to the end of this pattern, I realized that this is just the middle. So now I have to do the other half. But this is how far I am. This is just according to pattern. And yeah, it's I realize now that I usually say just knit from your head and do what you want and so on, but at this stage I'm totally lost, because these techniques are all new to me, these short row techniques, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to compensate for the leaves at the blue edges. And yeah, it's beyond my brain capacity. What do you say? My brain can't figure it out. So I'm really depending on the pattern here. So when I'm at the end of the pattern now, I realize that I want the same amount of shawl at the other edge. So I'm planning perhaps just to mirror it to the other side. So we shall see. I'm also at the middle of the yarn amount that I have, so it would be perfect just to mirror this one. So that's where I am. But when I got to the end of the pattern, the written pattern, and I realized that I have just the same amount left to do, I sort of lost steam on it. So I put it aside and I did other things. But now that I have finished that sweater, I want to start to knit on this one again. Just look at this color shiftings in the yarn here. It's so beautiful. It's an art just to watch how the shiftings of the yarn is making it alive. So it's handspun yarn, and it's inspired from the Kingfisher from the Last Word book. And I have not forgot about the Last Word book. I have just got stuck here at this beautiful shawl. So yeah, but I can't stop looking. When I start to look at all the shiftings in this yarn, how it is playing around with the leaves and the background here, I get totally obsessed with it. So I am sort of inspiring myself to start to knit on this one again, and I really hope that I will, because it will be a beautiful shawl. And that shawl has led me into ways of that I didn't plan at all. But my mind has been, I hope that you will follow along here, and I had problems talking about this in the Swedish episode, but I think perhaps I have done it once now, and try to follow along how my head has been working. That blue shawl got me thinking about how to wear it. What shall I wear this shawl with? And I had a pair of orange linen pants that I have had for many years, and they got the fabric has gotten really, really thin, so there was holes, and I started to mend them. And there was new holes, and I mended again, and I'm not sure about what you think about when I say Sashiko, but I have been starting to watch a YouTuber called Sashiko Story, and he is from Japan, and his family has some kind of a company with the Sashiko. The rain stuff, thank God. And I have been starting to listening to him, and he is grown up with the Sashiko around him since he was a child, and he still says that he is practicing Sashiko. So I hope that I'm not coming out as if I am some kind of profs in Sashiko, but I have been doing some Sashiko stitching, and I'm still learning, and I'm interested to hear what he has to talk about, and I have been listening to his live stories, and I have also watched his his YouTube films, his clips about when he's talking about what is Sashiko and the history behind it and so on. And also, not being my language, but I have picked up a few things here and there, and something that I got in my head when I was mending my orange linen pants. I was using the running stitch, you can call it, up and down, up and down, up and down, and I was adding a fabric to the pants. And it's in my back, so I won't show it to you. But as I was sitting there stitching with the up and down, up and down, up and down, it's very meditative way of stitching, and I was doing it all over the fabric I was placing on the pants. And I also remember him talking about this, that the poor people on the countryside working on the fields, they had to do this to reinforce the fabric, to make the fabric stronger, so they used the running stitch to make a thicker fabric. And he also talked about the people on the fields working and why they use the indigo colored fabrics, and that was because the mosquitoes didn't like the smell of indigo. And that got my mind thinking about the indigo colored yarn, and I knew that I had some dyed up in my yarn stash. So I went up and I found both the indigo dyed yarn that I had dyed up, but also some other commercial yarn that also was dyed with indigo. And this is the wool yarn that I had dyed myself a couple of years back. I had a lot, if you have been with me, I struggled a lot with this blue and what to make from it, and I made a grey and blue vest in the end, and that Gotland grey really made this blue not so screamy, because at that point I wasn't prepared to dress up in this kind of blue, but now it feels okay, but at that point it wasn't. So this indigo blue together with this, and this is not this is a cotton yarn, this is a wool yarn, and this is a cotton yarn, indigo dyed, and it dry, it leaves blue marks on your finger when you knit with it, so it leaves color when it's dry, so I'm not sure how this will bleed perhaps when it gets washed. I haven't done any swatching or nothing. I just got an idea that it would be nice to use these two indigo dyed yarns together, even though they are different in this is wool and this is cotton, but it will be interesting structure to blend different kinds of fibers like this. And yeah, both are indigo, but they are totally different, and also because it's different kinds of fibers. So inspired by all the things that I talked about now with Sashiko and listening to him and to the indigo and to everything, and I casted on a sweater, a top-down raglan of course, and I started up here with some kind of cable as a ribbing, because cables act the same way as a ribbing. They pull the material together. So I used one twist cable here at the ribbing, and I have added my flower at the end, and I also did short rows back here. And then I did, since I didn't have so much, I think I had 175 grams perhaps of this, I decided to be a little safe with that kind of yarn. So I was thinking about how can I add rows to the sweater without using so much yarn, and that is lifted stitches of course. So when I did the first round here is knit with the cotton yarn, and then it's purl round with the cotton yarn, and then I lifted knit one, lift one, knit one, lift one, knit one, lift one for 3 rounds. So you get this edgy look, and then I think I knitted 5 rounds of the indigo, and then one knit round of the cotton and 1 purl round of the cotton, and so on and so on. And yeah, just knitting and knitting. But I realized also that this yarn I had will not be enough for one full sweater. So I went up to the yarn room again, and I brought out this aqua green, sort of green blue, and I will add in this color as well. So there will be these 3 colors, and I will try to mix them so that it will be a sweater. And I have added the first row of the green, and when I tried it on, it was exactly under my bust. And you know, I very often do that with my sweaters that I have been designing, that I have some kind of mark here under the bust, just to, I don't know, mark some kind of, make some kind of marking there. So it was nice that it ended up at the same place there. And yeah, I'm not sure. I think I will start to do more of these lighter rounds now, and we shall see. I have the yarn I have, and as usual that will be what it will end up like. But I'm thinking of this one as a really nice working in the garden sweater, because I see myself working on the fields, you know, with the indigo sweater. That was the thought I was having in my head when I started to search for this yarn in my stash and what I will make from it. And as you can see here, the indigo dye hasn't it's not perfect, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm seeing myself working with wide blue indigo dyed pants and this big indigo sweater, and no mosquitoes around me. That will be really, really nice. So this is my inspiration for this sweater. And even though this is the reason my mind was starting to think about other things, they will not go. I'm sorry. It's Agnes. She wants to be here as well. I'm not sure I will be wearing these two together, but this was what started my thinking going. And this is how it ended. So we shall see how it will be in the end when I have no more yarn to play with. So yeah, I will just go with the flow. It will not be a fashion sweater, it will be a work in the garden sweater. Yes, and Sashiko and all the things that I have been thinking about, and blue and so on. I also got to go to the fabric store, and I have made myself a dress. This is some kind of fabric that's also very popular here in Sweden now, and it's a bubbly, sort of bubbly fabric. And I just made myself a dress, you know, like this, with no sleeves, just like a tank at the top, and goes out a little bit at the end. And when I went up to my sewing machine and I sat down and I had cut the fabric and everything, the underthread just kept on, you know, making a mess. And I tried again, and it made a mess, and I tried again, and I just decided that no, I will make this dress by hand. So I have actually, so it's not a lot of stitching, but I have made this dress. It's hand sewn. I have made all the sewing with needle and thread, and I have also sewn in all the edges of it around the sleeves, and also around the neckline, and at the end, and also the sides. So it's totally handmade. And in the theme of hand stitching and Sashiko and everything, I was also dreaming about perhaps making some hand stitching on it as a decoration. And I was searching on Etsy for some kind of, you know, you can have it to draw from. And I found actually a store in France called Indigo Loom, and it's also on Instagram. And they were selling this hard plastic mull, we call this in Swedish. I'm not sure, stencil perhaps in English. So with these two stencils, there came also a lot of small pencils, because a normal pen don't get it's not small enough. So it was included both blue and white pencils, so you can put this on a fabric and then make some kind of motive. And there is a lot of good YouTube clips on how to use this kind of stencils. So yeah, that's something that I will have in mind for perhaps making on the end, down on the end of the dress, perhaps something. So I'm planning for it, but I'm not there yet quite. But I think it's nice to do these kind of things and to have them around when inspiration comes, because if you don't have them when inspiration comes, the inspiration is gone when you get them. So for the next time my inspiration comes, I know that I have them and I can bring them out and I can start right away. So hand sewing a dress, it's not fitted in any way. I know when I got the fabric, it was a rectangular, and I could cut out the front of the dress like this, and then I have sewn together two pieces in the back, so they got upside down on the outside of this middle dress, if you understand what I mean. It's not so easy to explain, but it was a very good fabric, a very good pattern to use. Oh, this is roughly how I mean, and this one goes further up here. But it was quite clever, the pattern, that you could make. I think I used 1.5 meters of fabric for it, because I did this middle part of the dress like this, and then the sides like this, and then you sew this part together with this part, and then it all goes together in one dress. So it was an easy pattern and a lot of just easy going, no fancy stitching anywhere, just you know, when you do like a sewing machine, you just sew it and then folded it up and small stitches. It took some time, but it's okay. Sometimes I just get in that mood that it's fine to hand stitch a full dress. I don't know. Patience. Yes, we also have a store here in close where I live in Gothenburg, and she is very much inspired by Japanese, both Sashiko and Boro, and that is something that he was talking a lot about also, or is talking a lot about, Sashiko's story on YouTube. The difference between Sashiko and Boro, and Sashiko stitching and mending gives the result. Boro is the result of Sashiko mending. That's how he explained it. But I hope I not come out as an expert in any way, because I'm also just picking up things here and there, and I understand that there is a lot to learn about this. And when I started to do this Sashiko stitching, I had no idea, and I realize now after a couple of years that there is a history here and a story to tell, and I'm glad that I found it and that I can now learn more, and that's interesting. But what I did buy from her in Gothenburg, I think she's importing from Japan, and I found a beautiful fabric, pre-printed fabric, and it's a long one, and printed with different kinds of motifs. And I have started up here, just. I think that this will be nice for the summer, to sit on the porch and to do some embroidery when it's too hot to knit, or when I feel for embroidery instead. And I also bought 100 meters of this thread that she's also selling in her shop. And I bought an extra long needle for doing this Sashiko stitching, and also this. And this is something that I don't really understand how to use, because I'm so used to using the needles like this, up and down, but they are using it. They put the needle, the head of the needle here with the eye. And then look at him, look at Sashiko's story, how he stitches, because the live streaming that he doesn't show his face, he shows his hands, and you can watch him do the stitching, and he doesn't move the needle, he moves the fabric. So he moves, he has the needle still, and then he moves the fabric upside up and down, and he fills up a full needle before. I can just imagine that he fills up one full line on the needle, and then he just pulls out the needle, and he has a full line done with this running stitch, and he uses this to push the needles. So I bought it just to practice, because this is not the way I'm used to using a needle. I use it with the thumb and the pointer finger like this, but I will practice to use it as it should, with the long needle pointed to this, and then holding it and trying with the fabric and pushing with this one. I will try. It's very easy to do the things that you are used to. You do things the way it's easiest for you, but sometimes you just want to practice a new way as well. So that's why I bought this one, just to try it out and see if I can understand how to do it. Okay, I hope that you followed me along with this, how one thing always leads to another. That seems to be the story of my life. I start in one place, and then one thing just leads away to the next thing. And the same thing here with my greenhouse. I redecorated in here, and then I got inspired to start to build out. I had, plates, stones on on the floor on the ground outside of my greenhouse here. And it will be like it's outdoors but with a roof, and yeah, it looks really nice now, I think, with the wood stove I have out here as well, an old one we had in the barn, and I brought it out, and it's a big opening so I can open it up and I can put a little fire and I can sit here and knit and read and yeah, whatever, and just enjoy this outdoor living. And yeah, it's really nice. I'm planning how to make some kind of day bed, perhaps in here or out there, I'm not sure yet. I have also got a bird feeder outside of my greenhouse now. I have recently placed it here because I have another one near the house, but now I have one hanging out here, and the birds are here all the time eating the peanuts. And I also have a little, water bath, so they can bath and they can eat, and there is a lot of entertainment for me to sit here and just enjoy the bird life in the garden. Really, really nice. And the dogs seem to be okay with the birds being here as well, and that's good. Agnes, I know she doesn't mind, but Nemo is always interested to get something to eat. He's a hungry dog, you can say. Okay, let's go a little tour in the garden, because a lot of things has grown since the last time we went. And I have started to take on, I have some area here in my, where I grow the flowers, that has been forgotten for a couple of years, and this grass has taken over, and I made up a plan, and I started at one end, and I took away all the weeds and the roots of that kind of grass, and then I went into the catastrophe area, and I found the Helleborus julros, we call it, Christmas rose. It blooms in the winter, and I found, when I was digging in that grass, I found I think 10 small plants. It must have been one flower just tipping over. And then since I haven't been, cleaning the weeds and everything, it must have had some years there to just take root, and now I found them, and they looked like small onions when I found them digging, and I took care of them. I think perhaps 10 small plants. So I took them from that area and I placed them in another area in the garden, and I hope that they will live well there, and perhaps it will be nice in the winter that there comes a lot of the same plant at the same place, because in the winter that will be the only thing that comes, and then when they have done their thing, the other plants will come. So I'm hoping that it will be a good decision to move them now. So I have a little bit left to do in that area, but it's also nice to make finds like that plants have been seeding themselves, and yeah, that's the good thing about leaving it alone. But there is also the bad thing about the weeds taking over. So, but I will do my best to get through that area. And I have a plant outside here. In Sweden it's called spansk körvel, and it's like Spanish, I'm not sure. It's blooming with white flowers, and the leaves are smelling like licorice. And I want to move that plant because it's outside my garden and I want it inside my garden. So I will be moving in that plant when I have cleaned up that area. So that's something to to take on for the future here. But I will film a little tour in the garden, so you can see the little thing I have built outside the greenhouse here, and also how much things have grown in the garden since we walked the last tour, and I think that was 3 weeks ago, with the apple trees in full bloom and everything. And yeah, we shall see. I have some new flowers for you today, so let's end this podcast with a little garden tour. And thank you so much for watching, and if you want to support my work with this channel, there will be links under here to Ko-fi.com and to Patreon. And if you are one of my patrons, thank you so much for your support. It means a lot. So goodbye for now, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.